Hello, everyone. I have a special treat for you today. We are going to be looking at Swelt and we're going to take on our existing community projects and we're going to convert it into Swelt, Sweltify. And I have an awesome guest to help us do this. I have Li Hau, who is a core maintainer on Swelt. So it's going to be an awesome journey today, and I hope you're really excited, just like I am. So, Li Hao, please introduce yourself and tell us about what you do.
So, hi everyone. Nice to meet you guys. Thank you for having me, Eddie. So, brief, a quick introduction of myself. So, I'm a front end engineer at Shopee. So, I'm currently based in Singapore, and yeah, sorry, it's a bit I'm a bit nervous right here. It's my first time being on the live stream, so I'm very happy to meet you guys. So maybe I could share a bit more about myself and Svelte. So I'm currently a maintainer of Svelte. So how does that come by? Is um, I guess people from uh, so I guess sorry.
No, it's
So
okay.
this
Don't
is
worry. It's okay. Live streaming is a bit stressful, but everyone here is here to support us, and they here want to learn from your expertise. I mean, you're core maintainer on Svelte. That's just like so awesome, and you obviously worked really hard to get there. And so, I mean, that's brilliant. You're obviously really active in the open source community. And what other projects have you used? So did you didn't start off as Svelte? Did you use like React or Angular before that? Like, how did you get into tech? Like, what was your journey like?
okay. Maybe I can share a bit more on that one. So I started off as like I would say like a typical journey as a computer science graduate. So I started off as like a full stack engineer at a local startup, and it was 4 years ago, I would say. So back then, React was pretty new. So I was building like full stack, but my interest was always on front end because like I like UI stuff. So I back then I got another job, which is my current company. So I get into Shopee as a front end engineer, and basically my main role was working on React building. So Shopee is like an e-commerce company in Southeast Asia. So we build a lot of front end intensive application. So we build like a marketplace where people can come in to browse items, make purchase, check their orders, and arrange for shipments, and all the stuff they can do on the marketplace. So think at some point on time I feel like so that it was actually last year. So last year during I mean almost exactly last like 1 year ago, it was October where we have like a Hacktoberfest. I believe I'm not sure everyone know about Hacktoberfest. So Hacktoberfest is this annual GitHub event where they work with DigitalOcean to get like a if you like make enough like 4 5 pull requests to a public repository and you get a t-shirt. Four, right? Yeah, it was four four pull requests, and as long as they are not marked as spam or invalid,
Yeah.
you will get automatically get like a t-shirts, right? So that was like uh, that I wouldn't say that is my first attempt into open source. I've already like did some like I because like we are using React is open source, right? So I've been like looking at projects and things like that. But I think last year was the time where it's also when Svelte 3 was announced early on last year that caught my attention. And because during the Hacktoberfest I was thinking like what kind of projects I can work on, anything interesting that I can look at. So I was thinking so that it was that point of time I was like, Svelte 3 looks interesting, so why not give it a check? So that was how I get started with Svelte. So I think I of course I managed to get my T-shirt. So that's the most important thing I would say. People say this is like so-called uh, S SDD, which stands for Swag Driven Development.
I love that. SDD, swag driven
Yeah,
development.
Swag Driven
SDD.
Development.
I love that. That's actually really interesting. I actually want to dig a bit deeper
Mhm.
into that because so
Yes.
last Hacktoberfest was when you got more involved in open source, and since then you've become a core maintainer on Svelte. That's really impressive in such a short amount of time.
Mhm.
So how did you, I guess, get into becoming a core maintainer on Svelte? We have got Hacktoberfest round the corner in about less than a
Yes.
week, so it's actually really perfect timing. So did you just keep contributing, like make small contributions, and did they grow over time, and you got more familiar with the project, and is that how you became a core
Yes.
maintainer?
Yes. Yeah, I have to say um, I'm very fortunate. I really have to say, yeah, that is like I'm really really fortunate and blessed because at that point of time is um, I I would say kind of getting a bit early where Svelte just picks up. I think it's getting more and more popular recently, but back then it's still like a very like a cool kid across the block, like a new kid. Um, there's I think it's more like a niche, a pet project. I don't know. Maybe some people would think of that way, right? It's not mainstream frameworks compared to React or Vue. So it's I would say pretty early on. Also, when I started looking at the code base, I have to say I really know nothing about Svelte, right? So I started with look through the tutorials to learn about how actually Svelte works, because I don't use it at work, right? So I have definitely have to learn first. Um, but while looking through the tutorials, I roughly know like how you would use Svelte in building application, and that's where I was like thinking, okay, because Hacktoberfest, I have to like make contributions, so I go to like the issue list on GitHub, basically filter out like any good first issue. I think you can't find that much anymore in Svelte because most of them is being closed by me. So yeah, back then I was like combing through all the like I literally going page by like after, it's because not all issues are labeled as good first issue. Like maybe some of them are because it's extra effort for like maintainers to label it as good first issue and like leave it unattended and probably like leave some hints to teach people like okay, here is how you're going to do it. It has
That,
to be something is like non-urgent or like less urgent kind of bugs or issues or maybe like a enhancement, right?
that's very
I would say
true. That's very true, and I also find
yeah,
they go
because
quite quickly as well.
yes, especially with like more popular projects like for example React these days. I believe like there's tons of people are looking at it. You can't really get any good first issues anymore. So that's why I said I got lucky where when I was looking at it, there's still some of good first issue, and then after that, when I think after I make one or two pull requests, then I started to look through the code base. So as I said again, I was pretty early on in Svelte 3, so I think they did some major changes on like versions of Svelte. So on Svelte, so when I was reading through the code base, there's like to-dos sprinkled across the code base. Like for example, they were doing this, and then there's a to-do. Okay, something that they were thinking of doing, but they don't really have time for doing it. So yeah, I picked that up as well. So was reading through, I was like, okay, this I could do this, right? I think it's possible. So I just make pull request after pull request,
That's
and I have
such a
to
good
say that
idea. I didn't think of that. Sorry
yeah.
to interrupt you, but the to-dos are such a good thing to look in the code base for. I love that idea. I want to steal that. I want to use that. I want to promote that. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Sorry, carry on. That's really good.
And okay, so and also, and I think back then, I would say the like like people. So for Svelte, most of the maintainers have full-time job. For example, like Rich Harris, the creator of Svelte, is like a full-time at New York Times. He's very very busy right now because he was working at New York Times. You can know that right now in US, I think early this year there's this COVID coverage, and then now they are covering for presidential elections, US presidential elections. so he's very very busy. So you sometimes you make pull requests and you can't expect people to respond to it immediately, like, so I was like making 1 2 3 pull requests, and I was like, okay, I was like, I'm not really sure whether they are going to merge my pull request or they're just going to leave it there. So I stopped for a while, and then as they are closing some of it, I was like, okay, it's I feel like, okay, I feel like there's some hope that this is like getting to be merged. So I was like going to do more and more, but I just like going through issues and issues, pull request by pull request. I They are closing it as like not as fast as I'm creating pull requests, because it's like they are busy, right? So it's like not, and even until now, not all my pull requests are being merged and getting to the code base, right? So yeah, I think when you work on open source projects, you have to understand that not all of them are being maintained by, say, full-time open source maintainers. Yeah.
I think that's really good advice to definitely give. So I'm going to share your Twitter handle, Twitter link in the chat. So if anyone wants to follow you or reach out, then they can they can follow you on Twitter and contact you on Twitter. So that's really awesome to hear about that, and I love those to-dos. So everyone listening, just to kind of repeat for a third time, that's how important it is that if you are looking for first time issues or anything like that, also look for to-dos in the code base. Such a great way. You could raise an issue if an issue doesn't exist for it already. So do check it out. Raise an issue, you get a green square for raising an issue. It doesn't count towards Hacktoberfest, but it does count towards your GitHub profile activity. And then you can also raise a pull request to make those improvements. That is just so good. So one of my burning questions for you is, how does Svelte differ from React and Angular and Vue?
Okay, so personally myself, I work with React a lot, right? Because I use React at work, so I can say I am more comfortable speaking in terms of React versus Svelte as compared with, like,
Sure.
say, Vue
Okay.
and Angular versus Svelte, right? So I would say so if you compare with React and Svelte, right? It's the main difference would be the way or the paradigm of like doing reactivity. Okay, so maybe before I get there, so here's how like a web frameworks that maybe you should think about, right? So when you write like a application web application right now with a framework, usually what you do is you have like a components, and you describe how your UI should look like, right? So uh, in React perspective, you write some like JSX to describe how your UI looks like. And at the same time, you write states, like you declare states. Like, so in React terms, you use like use states. Is it okay, like if I use like React as a metaphor over here?
Yeah, that's fine. No, carry on. Carry on. That's fine.
Okay. So you have a state and you describe the view in terms of state, right? So in React terms, you return like the view depending on the state, right? And then when you have event listeners or actions that when you interact with the view, what you do is you set state or you update the states, and then which that triggers something under the hood with the framework, right? And that framework will determine, okay, this component has changed, so we are going to update it. So they will call like, say, random method or call the components or whatever. Then your component will return a new view based on whatever you describe, right? And then that gets updated to the screen, right? So so when you use a framework, you don't write like you don't use browser DOM API, say create elements or whatever to manipulate the screen. You do it through a framework, and a framework allows you to describe declaratively in terms of the state. So you have a state, and this is how it looks like in the view. State change. This is a new state. This is how it looks like a view, right? So in React, how it works is more like all this. So in React, every time there's something changed, you get a new view, and what React does is that it will in the runtime, like so in your browser, you compare different view and tries to figure out what's the optimal way of updating a DOM, right? But in terms of Svelte, that's different. So it's very different in terms where when it does this job, right? So in React, all this comparing view thing happens in the browser, but for Svelte, it happens before that when you're trying to build your component, right? So
Okay.
in Svelte, yeah, so in Svelte, you write how your UI should look like in terms of the state, but then you go through a step of compilation. You build the component, and what that's output is a very small JavaScript code that that does all the DOM manipulation. So, for example, if you have a element and that use a state, for example, and within the component you change this state, right? So Svelte will analyze all the variables, know that okay, this variable has changed over here, so this element is dynamic, right? Over here, that all these elements is not going to change. These elements are not dynamic; they are static, right? So it will output the code where it has code to update the dynamic parts, but it doesn't have code that updates dynamic parts. So the static part, it will only have code that just creates them and destroy them. It doesn't have the part where it mutate it, right? So you will go through you will go through a template, try to generate as optimized as possible, as small as possible code in JavaScript, and that is your JavaScript code that you import and that runs.
Awesome. That sounds really like a different, paradigm. It sounds really exciting. So it'd be more efficient in many ways. Okay, awesome. I'm definitely liking the sound of that. Shall we start looking at some code and start taking our example HTML page and sweltify it and see what do you think? Okay, I just want to say to people, don't forget, give the video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the bell button so you get notified every time I post a video and go live. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here today and supporting us, and hopefully learning a lot from us as well. Any questions in the chat, just put a Q and it will hopefully stand out from the chat. And if you can answer other questions that people are typing, do get involved in the conversation. Right, so we have a GitHub organization for our community. If anyone wants an invite, just on the support repo, raise an issue, and we will send you an invitation to the organization. And this is our community project. Let me show everyone what it looks like at the moment. So at the moment, this is what it looks like. And one of the things that I'm really keen to improve is we have these cards here on the page of our projects. And these cards, because it's just a HTML page, they're kind of copy and pasted, and then the content of the card is changed. But the downside is, if I want to make a change, we're using Tailwind with HTML, by the way, for everyone listening, that it is HTML with Tailwinds. We haven't written any custom CSS. And if I want to make a change to any of these cards, I'd have to change it in 8 different places. And that kind of is not efficient. And if you want to add some more, and same with the moderators down here. So I'm really looking forward to changing that to make it more efficient. So everyone can see that we include Tailwind up here. Oh, and Font Awesome as well. And then if I go down to the part that says our projects, everyone can see here is one project. And then when it gets to the next project, it's all the classes, everything is just repeated again. So if we wanted to make any changes, we'd have to change it in loads of different places. So I think this is where I believe Swelt can really help us reduce the duplication, and especially when we come to do more features as well. What do you think?
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Awesome. So let me create a new branch. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Let me create a new branch, and then we can get started. So check out branch. We'll just call it Swelt. So in this branch, we can make lots of changes now. Okay, so what shall I do first? You guide me.
Okay, so I think before we start this, right, maybe I can link you to the Svelte repo. So if you go to the Svelte website,
Yeah.
So on the top right, there's a REPL, REPL.
Oh,
Sorry.
oh yeah, sorry, yeah.
Yep. So
Okay.
that is like a playground where you can
Oh, I
play around with.
see.
Well,
That's
yes.
awesome. Let me share that in the chat as well if people want to have a play too. Looks great. Okay, this is good. Okay,
Okay.
awesome.
So this will be like the hello. This is like the hello world of Svelte code, right? So yep.
Nice. Let me make this a bit
So
bigger.
maybe I can walk you through a bit on the code side,
Yes, please.
right? So so a Svelte component looks like HTML. So we call it like a HTMLX, like extension of HTML. So you all the JavaScript code is written in the script tag. So you have like on the top you have a script, and then below you have, okay, it doesn't matter where how you order it, but you can have one top level script tag, and then you can have elements like h1, or you can have p tag and anything, and also you can have another thing called like a style tag, right? So if you have, yeah.
So carry on talking. I want to kind of play at the same time as well, but please carry on.
Yes. So you can have style tags where a style tag you can style like the h1 and p and everything, right? And over here you can declare variables, and variables over here, like how you declare a variable in JavaScript. Variables will be like a state within the component. So over here you can see like let's name equals Eddie, right? And to use that variables in your HTML template, you use something called a curly brackets. So you wrap curly brackets name, right? So that's how you get Eddie and hello Eddie, and this is a message for Eddie. So probably yeah. And I think next thing we can try over the REPL. So let's just like get familiar with like the Svelte syntax over here first. Is that okay for you?
Yeah, sounds good.
Mm-hmm. So the next thing, most likely what people would usually do is probably add a style tag.
Okay.
Style tag. Yeah, it could be anywhere. Yeah. And so you can style something like make the P to be like, yeah, make it a different
No,
color, and yeah, that will happens, right? So if you look on the right, so there's three tabs on the right. There's like a result, JS output, and CSS output. So the JS output is what the code that you've written on the left will be compiled into on the right side, right? So and then yeah, this will be the CSS output. Um, so you wrote H1 and then you get different things on the right. Okay, so the style over here, right, is being scoped within a component. So when you have a style tag and then you say H1 color red, right? It's only all the H1s that is within this file, this component file, is being
awesome.
styled as red color.
That's
Mm-hmm.
great. Love that.
So the next thing, what usually people will do will be adding things like a event listener.
Okay.
So say yeah, maybe yeah, say we do like adding an event listeners for the H1 tag. What we can do is you can type on and a colon, and then probably click event. So CLICK, yeah, and then equals to, and then you can have the curly brackets again and pass in a function name.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. So click me. Probably not with the brackets. So you
Okay.
pass in a function. So you wouldn't want to call the function immediately. Yes, that's a little bit different. So next you can declare a function to click me.
How do you want me to declare it? With a variable or?
Yeah, it's anyway it's okay. So you can declare it like a function. You can declare with a let as like a arrow function. That will do as well.
Alert? Would alert work here?
Yeah.
Oh, it does work. Yay.
Yay.
Right.
So
So
let me show you something
that's
cool.
awesome.
So the next thing what you can do is that instead of alert tags, you can change the value of name. So you can set name equals to something else.
Okay. So would I do that by, do I need to pass it? I'll just change it here. Right. I see what you mean. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
So we can
yeah.
do name equals new name. I was about to hit save. I don't need to save it. Oh, I
You can,
see.
yes. So you can hit save. You can save like if you're logged to like through in the REPL, you can save as many like example like code samples you can. It's like a
Awesome.
code pen or code sandbox.
That's great.
Yeah. So I think one thing people love about Svelte is change the like you change the value of a variable like how you would do in normal JavaScript. Right? In this case, name is equals to new name. So when you click, it's updated and it's reflected on the screen as well.
Yeah, it's very, it seems very lightweight, which is great.
Yeah. So the next thing we can do, which is very svelte only, is that maybe a new line, maybe try like add a new line of code where you start with a dollar colon.
Add it in the script tag.
Yeah, adding in a script tag.
Yeah.
So you start with a dollar sign,
Hola. Okay.
a
This is
dollar
new.
sign and a colon.
Okay.
Okay, so over here, what we're going to do is called a reactive declaration.
Right.
So what it means is that you can declare a new variable over here and say, okay, now probably we do something like uh, what's with a name, double name or something like a spy, or just come with double name equals to name plus name.
Name plus,
Name.
oh, name plus
Yeah,
name. Okay.
yeah, probably something. I'm bad at coming up with
No,
things,
that's
but
fine. This is good.
yeah.
It shows us to demo
Okay,
this Svelte
so
magic.
okay, so what it means is that double name is always equals to name plus name.
Okay.
That is what this statement is going to do. So you can use this variable double name in like in the template.
Okay. Double name.
Okay, so here name is Eddie, right? And double name will be Eddie. So as you click on the H1, like the hello, it will like double name is always equals to name plus name, right? So whatever you click, it will always be a double of it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So my question to you is, why can't I make this a normal variable? What benefit is it to do this?
So normal variable will be executed on sequentially, right? So for
Ah,
example, you
yes.
declare name and then you declare double name. That the value of that will be evaluated and assigned to double name on that point of time, right? So when you change name, it doesn't change the double name.
I see. Yes, that's a very good point. Okay. So the dollar colon is almost like it's still listening. The
Yes.
changes.
So
Okay.
it's like a define like a property or like it's so Rich has this very eloquent talk where he described this like as how you would do in Google Sheet or Excel, where you define a cell equals to a formula of equals to some cell and another cell. So that formula will always stay true, right? Whenever you change the variable of name in this case, or something else that you're trying to assign, it will always double name will always be evaluated whenever whenever the formulas change.
That makes sense. I think that's a really good thing to know. That's awesome. And it's just really straightforward and simple. I know it's possible to do it in other libraries and frameworks, but there's a lot more code that needs to be put around it. So that's that's really cool, really simple and clean. So everyone watching, how many of you have heard of Swelt? How many of you have used Swelt? How many of you love Swelt? So in the chat, write heard, used, or love, or all of the above. You can write all three if you need to. We're interested to know where everyone's at as well. But this is really good. Okay, awesome. I'm ready for the next bit. What next? I'm excited.
What's next? So probably we can learn something that will be useful on later on, right? So You are saying that we want to um, look. We are having a multiple cards, and you want to say look through it and
Yeah.
remove duplicate codes in like the cards, right? So in Svelte, we have what we call a logic blocks. That would be very similar to say like templating language, where you have like a if block, you have like a each. So each is to loop through things. If will be if condition, you have this template, else another thing, right? And we have await. Await is something interesting. You can pass in a promise. So await while you are fetching while the promise is pending, you see something on the screen, and when it's resolved, you see another thing, and if it's rejected, you see another thing as well.
Okay.
Right? So yeah, so probably we can start with each, because that's what we are going to use later on.
Okay,
Right?
sounds
So
good.
yeah, so so let's declare like some data.
I was just going to do an array. We'll just call it, we'll just use, I don't know, people's names in the chat maybe. So if we say name and something like, I see Praveen in the chat. We might add some more information later on. Let me just do it as name for now, maybe. Who else do we have in the chat? We have Mikey. Okay, just so it doesn't take up too much space, I might leave it at that for the moment. We'll add some more in a minute. Okay, so I've got data. Does that look okay to you?
Yeah, that looks great.
Okay.
So how you start a logic block is you start with a curly brackets.
Okay, so maybe if I just make a little bit more space, and then under here, if I can do a list.
Okay, yeah, that's great.
Oh, that's not so good. Yeah, if I do a list. Okay, so where would I put the curly brackets to make the kind of the loop part?
So if we are going to create multiple list items, then probably we will have the curly brackets around or outside of like the list item. Yeah, we can start at the beginning of it. So
Okay.
to start, like say each, you would use a curly bracket and a pound sign.
So sorry,
like
what do I write first? Is it the curly bracket first or each first?
Yeah, the curly bracket first.
Okay.
And then a hash, a pound sign.
Like that?
Yes.
Okay.
And then each. So you can type, so it's expecting, each. So space.
Okay.
And then data. So this is what you're going to iterate through.
Okay.
And so for each, what we do is each a list, and then we space as, and then that will be the variable name that you want for each of the item. So say item, and then you close the curly brackets.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah. So at the end of the list item, you start with a curly brackets. So this with a slash, I think a backslash.
Backslash. Okay, this one.
Oh wait, then it will be a forward slash. Sorry.
Okay, no problem.
I never learned about what is back or forward, but yeah.
No problem.
So, and then each.
Right. Okay.
So this will be the beginning and the ending of the each block. So whatever is between, it will be.
Oh no, not name. Item.
Yeah.
Item dot name. Yes, I'm loving this. It's really straightforward to get going. I really like that. So hopefully people are watching and are appreciating the simplicity of not having to have lots of, I guess, boilerplate code, lots of complexity. It is quite, it is really clean and straightforward. I am liking this. It's really, really nice. This is why I think there's so much. I know you said earlier on Svelte isn't mainstream, but it is. I hear it a lot. I keep hearing it more and more. It's becoming very popular. I mean, it does have, almost 2,000 forks and almost 40,000 stars. I still think that's very, very impressive. So yeah, that's looking really good. Okay, so we have got in the object. If I add something like, I don't know, location, and if I just put London and then Mikey, Oh, I've got a comma up there. That's a bit wrong. Mikey, I know you're in London as well, but I want to put you in Paris for the moment. Paris. And it doesn't change anything. It all still works. But then I could put a bit more information and say item dot location. And it puts the location. So that's just awesome. That's really, really good. So to add this to a HTML page, I think is really, to an existing one, to an existing page, is probably really, I say, quite straightforward. I'm really excited for this. This is great.
Yeah. So one thing I can show off a bit over here is that, say, instead of each data as, you can actually destructure item right there in place of the item.
Sorry, say that again.
Okay. So instead of as item, so
Yep.
each data as item, instead of item, so in the item there, you can destructure it. So you can use object destructuring.
Got you. I see what you mean.
Yes. So you can destructure as like name and location, and then you can use it directly instead.
I see. Okay. I'm a big fan of this style, so I'm going to keep it like this for the moment. I know people love destructuring, but I don't know. I like this style. I just find it easier to read.
Yeah, that's good as well. So so I think we have static data over here, right? So the array is not, the data is not going to change. So yeah. So why don't we just do something like in like on-click event listeners, we add one more item or one more person onto the list, and then see how it goes.
Okay, sounds good. We actually got people are saying in the chat they're loving this, which is great. So thank you everyone for your awesome feedback and support. Really glad you're enjoying this. I'm having so much fun. And someone, Tajez, has suggested adding styling only to the location. So if we were to do that, I'm guessing we would probably wrap it in a span and add styling just to the location, if that's what the question was. Only the location, yeah. So just if you wanted to style location, we could put it in there, and then in under styles. I mean, we don't know how specific we want to get, but say a bit specific, and just say color gray. There you go. Awesome.
Yeah. Or you can add class names. Say for example, like class equals to something, and you can use that class names.
That's true. We could do dot faded. There we go. Yeah, that's true as well. Okay, awesome.
Yep. And if you want to have, say, a condition in terms of like a certain condition where when you add class, there's like a shorthand syntax over here where instead of have like an expression within a class attribute, you can do something like a class colon the class name and then equals to a condition.
Oh, the class and the name, so it'd be faded like that.
And then probably equals item.location equals to Paris.
Dot location.
Double equal to Paris with a string.
Oh yes, okay, got you like that.
Like probably that? Probably caps for the Paris for the P.
Okay.
And oh yeah, and we forgot. So any expressions you need to wrap it with curly brackets. So
got you. Okay, makes sense. Inside the quotes, I'm guessing. Right. Okay. Got you. So it's easy to do an expression on the within the list in the data. That's really awesome. And within the class, I like that. Nice and simple. Okay. Great. Okay. Question from Tajez again. Really good question. We're going to apply this to a repo shortly. So this repo, which is this website for our community website, we're going to add Swelt to that, and that will be pushed to a Swelt branch. So you will be able to have access to that shortly. But I can also raise an issue with this if people want to have a look and play with this. So absolutely, I can do that. Samarpan says they're going to refactor their code to Swelt today. Awesome. Cool. Nice. Great to hear. Okay. Anything else you want to show? So there was something else you were saying about an event or something?
Oh yeah, I was gonna say we can have like an event to like let's do so right now the list is a bit static, right? Because we
Yeah,
declared the data with two items. So let's try to push one more item into the array and
like that.
by
Okay.
by a click or something.
Do you want to add it via an input field, or is that going too far? Should we just add a hard-coded value that's added to the
No, I
list?
think it's great. I think it's great.
Okay.
So you can have input field.
Input. I can't remember how much information we need. I have it. How short can I have it? There we go. Do I need
Okay,
to
so
submit? How correct does the HTML have to be?
no anything works.
Okay. So button. I should put really. Is it name? I can't remember. Is it name or value? I forget now. I see value.
So yeah, I think it's you put value inside the
Oh,
yeah,
is it inside the
you
button?
have
I'm
and
so
it's
I'm so
button.
bad using Angular. It has it all pre-built that I forget my vanilla stuff. You're
It's
right. Okay. Add. Okay. I probably the input might need
okay.
a name as well or an ID. I'm guessing.
So okay, so what we're going to do now is that what I'm trying to show, probably we can do something like a two-way data binding. Okay,
Okay.
so what it means is that you can bind the value of input to a variable. So as you type, it will up the value, whether you change the value of the variable or you change the value of the input, they are going to change each other, right?
Perfect.
Two-way. So let's declare a variable, say like an
I was going to suggest if we're going to do two-way binding. Okay, declare the variable first. I have an idea. I don't know if it's going to work, but let's try. Okay, you go first.
Mhm,
Sorry. So declare a new variable. Okay, so let's say form data.
mhm, mhm.
And then I'm guessing you're going to want me to put it on the page somewhere. So I put it after the button. Form, what was it? Form data. Okay. Is that good?
Okay, so how? Yeah, that's good. That's good. So how two-way binding we're going to do is we can, for the input element, we can have like a bind attribute, a bind with a colon,
Okay.
and then value. So this is like binding the value of the input. So you type value, value, VA.
Oh,
So
is actually
the
value. Sorry, I
value,
thought it was the variable I was thinking. I was getting too far ahead.
and then
Apologies.
so and then equals to, and then the variable name. Yeah, with a inside curly brackets.
Oh, yes. Always curly brackets. Must remember that. Form data. Okay. Right. Yes, as I
I
type,
think that's it.
that's just so simple how it just appears. My new name, how
Yeah.
it just appears on the right. Really, really simple. So for anyone who has just joined, I see some messages in the chat that people have just joined. We're doing Swelt today. We're just doing some intro to Swelt at the moment, some basics, and then we're going to actually go and add it to a real site. They have this repel area where it's kind of like a playground you can play, and all we've done is we've got a few variables at the top. One's an array, and then we've got some styling, and then we've actually got some events so you can click on things, and we've got a list from the data array at the top, and then now we're just adding it. So we've got two-way binding. So as we type, it appears on the right-hand side, and if we click add, nothing happens yet. So we're going to work on this bit next, I'm guessing.
Yeah. So we can add. So I'm guessing the next thing we're going to do is to add the form data as one of the item for
Yeah,
the array, right?
yeah, I think that'd be good.
So
Actually,
you
let me
can add.
put. Sorry, carry on.
Hmm?
No, carry on, carry on.
No, no, no.
I was going to say we're going to be missing location, but let's keep it simple for now. The new ones, the ones added, will just not have a location. It's fine.
Okay, yeah. So probably we can add like an on click for the button.
Okay.
So
Yep. So if I remember from the previous one, it's on click equals, and then which is, I don't know, we call it like an add function, but it's not defined.
yep.
So
You can also have like a function expressions if you want. It doesn't have to be. You don't have to declare like a function if you're lazy. right?
Okay.
Yeah, I would say that for some people would prefer having like a inline. If it's simple, some people would like to have like inline function expressions, and that would work as well.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, let's try that. So, how would that look? Would that look like this? And then will I need to pass
And then we could,
in something like that?
no, so this is the event listeners, right? So whatever you pass in is the click event.
Okay. So it would be the, okay, I'll just call it event. Um,
Mm-hmm.
okay. And then what do I put on this side?
So on the side, you start with a, so this is like an inline function. So you start with like a curly brackets to
Oh yeah, okay.
um,
If you want to make it multiple lines, yep, okay.
okay. So what we are going to do now is say, yeah, we were going to add one more item to the data, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be like data.push, and then we create like a new object with the name,
And that's true, yeah.
uh,
Good point. I forgot about that. New object
name
with a
as form
name.
data.
Form data, okay.
Okay, so that will probably work.
So I actually don't need that
Um,
part, do I? We're not going to
yeah,
use
you
that.
don't need
Test.
that.
Oh, it broke. What's in the
Okay,
console?
so yeah, so I think this is one of the most confusing part of Svelte, where um, you always so Svelte always needs two things to know that the variable has changed.
Oh,
Right? As we say, Svelte.
yes. Are you going to say this? No.
Um,
No, you carry on. Sorry,
Not
I
really,
interrupted
but we
you.
can try.
Okay.
No,
No, no,
no, we
you.
can try that.
No, I got an
Okay.
error. It said, what was? Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I did get an error in the console, which has just
Oh, I
disappeared.
think it was not. Yeah,
No, I don't think that's
I
going to
think it
work.
was just a warning when they refresh the page.
Okay, you carry on. Oh, okay. Component already destroyed. You carry on with what you were going to suggest or how to do it.
Okay, so Svelte has to know whether the data has changed or
Yeah.
any variable has changed, and how to signify that is always like an assignment, like an equal sign. Right?
Okay.
Variable A assigns to something, right? So over here, what a common um, way of like telling that the data has changed is to assign data to itself. Right? So maybe you have a next line of data equals to probably not this way because data.push will not return anything.
Oh yeah, that's
So
true. So we could do it as I don't know, the way I sometimes do it is like this. I don't know if you have a better way of
yep,
doing
that
it.
will work as well.
Um, no bracket there, bracket there. That look okay?
Yep, that looks good.
Yes, undefined. That's fine. We knew there was no location, so we can just, we could even put in location saying not found. There we. Oh, have I busted? I thought I was being smart.
Because we didn't have anything.
Oh, I didn't have anything in the input. That's true. Yes. Yeah, good point. Test new name. This is why pair programming is so important. I was too busy focusing on location. I forgot to put a name in the. And I suppose I could always default it, right? So I could always have it. So if I go
Yeah,
to the form, I could just put value and go test name. So therefore, as it gets. Is it value? I'm pretty sure it's value, right?
we have a default value, I think.
I forget. I was being smart, but I think I've done it wrong again. Um,
Probably default value instead of value. Like a default.
is it hyphen? I can't remember now.
I can't remember as well.
I can't remember. I use too many frameworks. I know placeholder would work, but it wouldn't pass it through. It'd just say it as a name.
Yeah.
We'll leave it as placeholder for now. That's fine. So Tej is saying, can we add it to the top rather than the bottom? We can. We can just remove this, and then in theory, if we put Tej's, add it to the top rather than the bottom.
Ooh. Mhm.
which is cool.
So I think one thing we need to improve on is we should clear the input after we add a new
That's a
name,
good
right?
good point. Okay. How would you suggest doing that in Svelte? Would you say form data equals and just an empty string?
Yep, that will just work.
Test add. It works. Awesome. Nice. Okay.
So
I'm loving this.
yes, I think one last thing to show off about Svelte is that we can add transitions. So when
Yes.
we have a new item, you have transitions.
Let's do it.
So how we do is we can. So let's start with importing transitions first. So you can import like back to the script tag. We all the way to the top. Let's like import fade. So it's a name import. So you need a curly brackets.
Oh, was it fade? Did you say?
Yes, fade from Svelte transitions.
Is it hyphenated or forward
It's
slash?
it's a slash. Yeah, it's a namespace.
Cool.
I think probably extra s transition. Uh,
Transition. Have I spelled that
I think two
right?
extra s.
Is
Uh,
it?
transi
Let me
sit.
Swelt transitions. I can't remember. I thought it would be like that. Oh, I've got an extra S in there. That's why.
Yep.
So I've lost it now. Here we go. One more. I don't need this S. Sorry, my bad.
I think it doesn't end with s as well. I think the last s is also. Yeah.
Ah, too many S's. Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
So there's a lot of different transitions pre-built in Svelte, right? So fade is one of them.
Okay.
So now we have fade in the scope. We can use it.
Let's use it.
What we can do, yay. So we are going to have a fading every time we add a new list item, right? So
Sounds good.
probably in the list, in the li list item, we can add
Yeah.
say transition. So transition colon fade.
Transition fade. Just like that.
Yep, just like that.
That's awesome. No way. It's not going to work. That's too easy. It's not going to work. Let me see. Test name. Add. Oh, it faded as well. It did. I need to see it again. Let's do another one. Test name 2. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch it. It looks like it works.
Yeah, except that the last one is fading, not the one that you're adding is fading, right?
Yeah, it does. It does look like I'm trying to play a little bit more to see if it is different one. It's rewriting the whole list. Maybe it's happening too fast, so it's fading the whole lot, but we only noticed the last one.
Let's try. Okay, so what we can do is fade. You can pass in a parameter, so equals with a curly brackets. So you can pass in duration.
Good idea. Okay.
Okay, so
Is that in milliseconds? No.
okay, so I think we need to pass in an object. So curly brackets just indicates it's an expression, and we need to
Got you.
add
Okay.
extra curly brackets around it as an object.
Okay, makes sense. Right. Okay, it's a bit longer now, so let's have a look. It's definitely the last one that is getting faded. Okay, interesting.
So what we can do here is that we can have something like a okay, I probably will have to borrow this because I'm not really sure how to explain, but we can borrow this like from React, where in React when you iterate through a list item,
Yeah.
right? How do you know which one is being added or removed? Is you use something like a key. You add keys to each item, so that will be like an identifier within all the items. You know which one is being added, right? So in this case, how you do it is that in the item, so in each block, each data as item, and then you add space and you add round brackets.
Like so.
So that will be the key, right? So the key will be expressions where what you want to be as a key.
I'm not sure what you mean.
Okay, so So this, like inside the brackets, will be a variable that you want to be the key.
Okay. And I've called it key. Is that okay?
Uh, Sorry, yeah, I think what I'm trying to say is more like you're not declaring a variable over here, but you are putting a value that should be the key.
Right. Okay.
So,
So,
so it's like so if we want to make like the name as a key, then will be like item.name.
we see. Okay. Right. Okay.
Yeah,
And
and that's about it. So let's try and see whether it works.
that did work. Interesting. Okay, that's a neat trick. We don't use that in Angular, so okay, definitely a React and a Svelte thing. Okay, that's a neat trick. Very nice. Oh, I've busted it. Okay, cool.
Okay.
I'm really happy with that. It looks good. Shall we? Are we ready to add to the HTML page? Watching the clock.
Yep. So the beauty of having a REPL like this site is that we can forget about the setup, right? What happens is that on the top right, right beside the login to save, you can see like there's a download button. If you click that, you would download like a code that you just written, right? The whole setup.
Got you.
Yeah.
Wow. So I would download everything kind of all packaged up and ready to go. That is awesome.
And then you can continue from there. So why I introduced you to this REPL is that we're going to cheat here, where we're going to copy the HTML that you've written in this REPL, and then we just work on our way over here. And does that sound good? Or
Sorry, say that last bit again. I was writing in the chat and I missed it.
okay. So how about let's just copy the whole HTML that you have
Yeah.
into this website, and we work it out over here.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, I'm just going to copy this whole lot into an issue first, so people want to see it, they can. So I'm just going to write Swelt for people, and then I'm just going to put code in here if people want to see it, and I can share that issue just in case they want to see that. I know some people are asking for that. Okay, so you're suggesting that we take the HTML part, this part, is that what you're suggesting?
Oh, I was suggesting that we copy the community site HTML into this website.
Oh, I see. Got you. Okay, that makes sense. My bad.
So we can get away setting up like Svelte in your code base for now, and
Yeah,
just focus on the
that makes sense.
so mm-hmm.
Should I
We don't
take
have to copy
everything
everything.
in
I
body?
think anything within the body. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Well, there's a lot of duplicate HTML. Let's have a look. Paste. It won't get the tailwind part, but that's also fine, I
Yeah.
think.
So what we can do here, actually, I tried this. So trust me.
Okay, I
So
trust
what we can
you.
do So what we do next is that we add a special element called a svelte head. So
Okay.
it's a svelte colon head.
Svelte colon.
Head, like a HEAD head.
Oh, okay, got you. Yeah.
Okay, so let's close it, and then let's go back to the site and copy whatever is in the head in there.
Got you. Okay. I don't need all of it, I suppose, right? I can just do maybe just that.
Yeah, I think we just missed the image because the image URL is not working, but
Oh
all the
yes, because
styles is
it will be local. That's why. Yeah, that's fine. So
correct.
and it's in responsive mode at the moment, I think. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. So it doesn't matter. It's doing it vertically at the moment as if it was a mobile. I think that's fine. Okay, Swelt head. Good trick to know. Just to use the playground. Okay. Sounds
Okay,
good.
so the next thing we're gonna do is to figure out where's the card element, and probably we can create a new component, right?
Yes, let's create a new component. If you want, I can grab, here we go, here's projects. This is where I think the card looks like. And if we can create a new component that we can reuse, because I think it starts off with grid, and then it goes into the image. So it should probably be ending here, I'm guessing.
Okay,
no,
let's
actually,
copy
tell a
this.
lie. It should end in a div, not in an anchor. Maybe there's one more.
Probably start with the anchor instead of div. Div
Oh yeah, div
might
must
the
be
con-
wrapping. Yes, it is. You're right. It's wrapping. So it's the anchor. It's this. This is the one.
So we copy this, and then you can see on the top left there's a plus button,
Yeah.
right? So that will create a new file.
Okay. So we could call it like card.
It will be best that you start with a capital.
Okay.
Start with title case. Yep. And then we can paste the code in over here.
Awesome. Okay.
Okay. So probably let's see what are the things that is dynamic. Let's have like a script tag and probably
Perfect.
declare some variables.
Yep. Is it possible, by the way, to use TypeScript with Svelte?
It is possible, but it's currently not possible in this playground.
Okay.
So,
but if you want to use it in a local app, it is possible.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is possible.
Okay.
So probably shout out anyone who wants to contribute adding TypeScript support to the playground. Feel free to do it. Yeah.
And
so let's see. Yeah, sorry.
I was going to say, so we've got the different. I can see that some of the variables we'll need. We'll need a link. We will need an image URL, and we'll need like a title or a name. So how do I, for this component, do I create individual variables? Do I create an object? How's the best way to do this?
Yeah, you can. I think either way is fine. We can start with. I think to do it, make it simple. Let's just create one variable for each of them.
Okay, sure. So we've got link, and then do I just define it to an empty string?
Yep, you can have it. You can start as an empty string as a default value.
Okay, image source, empty string, and then what else do we have? We have, I think, name. We'll call it, and then there isn't much more on description. I think that's it. Okay.
Yeah, so now the next thing we can do is to use these variables in the template, right? Replace it with as a curly brackets.
Oh yeah, that's true. It's a good point. While I'm doing that, I'm just going to answer some of the things some of the questions in the chat. So Tijesh asks, what color indentation code do I use in plugin do I use in VS Code? I can't remember. You'd have to, I think it's indent. Yeah, indent rainbow is the one I use. Really, really good.
So it gets different color for different levels of indentation.
Yeah, it's really, really great. Yeah, exactly. And then the other question was, is this the official extension? People drive me crazy. I'll just call you people, abbreviate it. What extension? This REPL is on the official Svelte website. So we'll call image source. Ignore the alt tag for now, so apologies everyone, that is really bad. You shouldn't ignore those. Name, and then description. Okay, awesome.
Okay, so now the next thing we're going to do is probably try to use this card from app.scout.
Okay, perfect. So if we look at the cards, the first one is this one, and we're going to try and replace it with our component. Okay, so if I find, now this is the first one, here we go, from the A, and if I delete that, then that first one's now gone. So as we can see, EddieBot is no longer there. The first one is which was originally the second one. Okay. So how do we add the component so we can get that card back again by using a component rather than all this duplicate HTML?
Yep. So let's start with a script tag and let's import card into the code.
Okay, so is that at the top?
Yeah, let's go all the way to the top.
Above head, do you recommend?
Anywhere it's okay actually.
Okay.
It doesn't really matter.
Okay. We've got script. Okay. And you say import. Is it the same like this as well?
So it will be a default import, so you don't need the
Okay.
curly brackets.
Okay. And just like that?
Probably you need a relative, so it's a dot slash
Oh,
cards
yes.
dot spell. And then extension, it's not a JavaScript file,
Oh,
so
yes, true. I wasn't sure if any magic was going to happen. Okay, got you. Okay, we've got that. And again, nothing has changed. It says no, EddieBot is not the first one. Doesn't appear. Okay, awesome. What next?
next we are going to use the component that we just imported. So it will be just like how you would create an element where instead of like tag you use card, right? So
Just like that. Okay,
yeah, just like that.
awesome. Okay, and we have something. Perfect. Okay, so we know it's importing it in. This is looking good.
So the next thing we're going to do is probably to um, pass the value in,
Okay,
right? So it will be like an attributes to this component.
okay.
So so in the card Svelte we have name, link, and descriptions. I guess you just deleted EddieBot. I'm not sure you can remember.
Oh, yeah,
How to
that's
type
true.
it out.
I can get it back. But is this how you do it? You just pass it in as a normal attribute?
Yes, that's how you're gonna do it.
That's awesome. Okay. So let me go back to here, and I'm gonna grab it because I don't remember all of it. So here we go. So you're right, I did delete it, which is very silly. So this is the link. So we will have. I think we did just call it link. Okay. We've got name, link. Actually, what I might do is multiple lines to make it easier to read because the link's going to be long. There we go. Okay, so link. And then what else do we have? We have image source, description, and name. Okay, so we've got image, source, link, and description. I think that was all of them. Right, name was EddieBot. Image source was, we'll copy it from here. And description, we will also copy it because I don't remember what we wrote. Okay, awesome. Oh, we got some errors.
Yeah. So take a look. We passed it in correctly, but we didn't receive it correctly in card.svelte.
Okay.
So what happens is that we are just declaring variables over here, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to make it like like a props, like an external, we call it a props.
The property, yeah. Okay. Like React, I think, as well.
Yeah. So what you need to do is you use the export statement. So it's export in front of the export let link equals to something.
Oh, okay, got you. Like so?
Yeah.
Oh, no errors this time. And did I call it Eddie? I meant to call it EddieBot. Let me see. My bad. Oh, I did just call it Eddie. Right, EddieBot. There we go. Update. It's there and it works. I'm pretty sure that's how it looked. Let me bring up the website. And that is how that card looked. Okay, it was in the responsive like so, and you can see it's there and it looks the same. Awesome. That's how easy it is to make a reusable component. So now I won't do all of them because it's a bit boring for everybody. I could copy and paste that, grab out these values, put them in, and it will also work. So if I do, I guess the beauty of that is, then just having it in plain HTML for everyone watching, is if we do want to make a change to the card, we can just change, say, the style, and it will change it for all the cards because that component is reused. I mean, that is pretty awesome. I am really, from an Angular person, and I love Angular, I love TypeScript, I love the framework style, the services, RxJS, but the simplicity of this is unbelievable.
Yes.
It just works. There is no massive complexity. And I have a question that I do ask a lot of React people. I know the answer to React. I'm guessing the answer is the same in Svelte as well, but I could be wrong. So let me ask. So say if you want to connect to an API, does it have a built-in HTTP client, or is it more like React that it's a library and then you can just include anything you want to do that part?
Yeah, that is similar to React, where there's no built-in for this. Yeah.
Okay. Now this is really awesome. So everyone watching, what do you think of Svelte? I know a few people have said it's great, it's awesome, they're going to try it out. But now having seen us take a card, take a card, put it into a component that is reusable, and then reuse it in our actual app. So now that makes it a lot more reusable. And I think there's probably different things that we could do. So here, I could copy and paste that and then take the next card and pull out the information that I want. But I suppose another thing that I could do, and correct me if I'm wrong, could we not also do something like this and say, let data equals do an array, and then down here actually only have the card once rather than have the card multiple times, but do a loop on it as well. Is that possible?
Yeah, that's possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really good to see as well. Okay, so we can really reduce the HTML that we use. So we can remove the duplication by using a component, and we can also then reduce it even further by just putting a loop on this and moving the data up to the script. I suppose the other advantage of moving it up to the script is that if we connect to an API, then we can just replace the hard-coded data in the script tags to be a HTTP call, and then it will just all continue to work the same way. I think that is really great. Okay, I think we definitely need to get someone in the communities to get a prototype going in a branch on our repo of moving this to Swelt. So I do have a couple of other live streams coming up with one with Nux.js. I want to do the similar sort of thing. I want to and then we've got one with Vue, and I want to have 3 branches, and I want to kind of compare them, and then we'll make a decision on which one we use. But I am really blown away by how awesome this is. I mean, this is great.
Cool.
I love the simplicity, especially for a website where it's going to be quite basic. It probably will have HTTP requests, but you don't need this whole massive code base of a library or a framework, because it is mostly going to be this stuff repeated over with some forms maybe, and so on, like search forms and so forth. So this is really awesome.
Yep. So
I'm going to copy this one last time.
Anything that you want to try?
I mean, I've just copied that twice to show people that it can be copied twice. So I might call this EddieBot2, and then you'll see then there's EddieBot, and then underneath it there's EddieBot2. But also, if I just do a data one, and if I create another object, and what did we have? Let me just grab some of these properties here. I grab some of these properties, paste it in here, change that to a colon, and then I want to duplicate this and loop over it to show the 2 different ways of doing it. So I've got this. So now if I copy that as well, so create another, and this could be replaced with HTTP request. If I call that EddieBot2, So what I'm actually
Probably
going
you
to
missed
do...
the comma,
Oh, did I?
Eddie.
Oh, yes, good
Uh,
point. Thank you. Thank you. Good point. I love pair programming. Thank you. This is why I also love using an IDE, because then it
yeah,
underlines things in red. Okay, so we've got that. I think that's okay now. Okay, cool. And then if I go down to here, and we did have EddieBot2 appear. So we do, if you have a look to the, we'd have EddieBot2 appear. I want to remove the EddieBot2 card. And you should see only EddieBot, only one of it. But then what I'm going to do is, how did we do the each again? Was it something like this?
yes, you're doing right.
As I don't know,
Um,
as data, as I,
yes,
as, oh,
each.
oh,
Yeah,
each
sorry.
data as item. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, cool. And then you closed it off by that.
With the each.
Oh, with
So
the each, yes. So we knew what was being closed. So now if I go down, we should see EddieBot twice. 1, 2, correct. But now if I change the name to be item.name, and then we should also see Eddie. Brackets. Need brackets for that, don't I? Like that. Does that work? I
yep,
think.
yep. I think so.
I'm not going to change anything else because they're the same anyway. So we've got EddieBot. Question is, do we have EddieBot2 underneath? And we do. So that way, instead of
Ooh.
copying and pasting the card, we can create an array of objects data, and then have a card once on the page, but it is repeated by this loop here, which I think is awesome. And then we can reference the name that way. And we could probably make it even simpler by passing in the object, I'm guessing, too. So rather than each item being like that, I'm guessing we could do something like data item. And then I'm trying to like just guess here. So apologies everyone if I break this. And then in the card itself, if I'll keep these for the moment just in case we ever want to go back to it. But if I go here and if I just say data equals an array, then down here, I'm guessing I could do data.link and then data dot that and then data dot that. Am I on the right track? Is this going to work or am I busting it all? I'm saying there's unused. Okay, so let me comment those out for the moment. Okay, so in theory, we should have it twice again. We do. And if you can see, now we're only in the code, rather than having those bigger blocks, we only have this one line, which I think just looks really, really neat. I think that
Yeah,
looks really, really neat.
that's right. And of course, if you're a fan of, like, say, spreading arrays, you can actually spreading attributes to the card component as well, if you want.
Can we show an example? I know I use spread, but I would like to see an example of what you mean. So what are you suggesting?
Okay, so instead of data equals item, we
Yeah.
can start the whole thing with curly brackets. So we
Okay.
remove the data equals item,
Remove this.
and then remove the attributes of the card.
Sorry, which one? Remove.
Yeah, yes, correct.
Remove that. Okay.
Here, and then we start with curly brackets,
Okay.
and then three dots,
Yeah.
a three here, and then item. So that will spread item into all the attributes.
If
So
we had the separate attributes like this.
yes, correct.
Oh, I see. Okay, so I'll have to put this back to what it was. Okay, that's actually very cool as well. In fact, I prefer that. That is definitely better because then in this component, it's clear what everything is quite nicely. But then in here, it still keeps it really clean as well. I really like that. That was really nice. So if now, don't need those spaces. If I scroll down, we've got EddieBot2, and so we could add a third one just by copying that, comma 3. Sorry, paste, put 3 in there, and then now we have 1, 2, 3. Awesome. That's really great. That's very, very cool. All just from that kind of one line effectively. And yeah, that is epic. That is really, really good. Okay, I want to see if there's any questions from people. I'm conscious of time. I've taken up loads of your time already, and I really appreciate you going through this with us. And like I said, I am completely blown away by how awesome this is. This is definitely number one contender to redo our website with. I think this is great. So everyone watching, what questions do you have? What thoughts do you have? I know people have been asking along the way, but I thought we'll have a few minutes now of if you have any questions. But this has just been brilliant. I can't wait to get started with this. Wow, I should actually put this in the issue as well, so as an example, so we don't lose it. So if I put this in,
yeah, probably try to save, like log in and save all this later on. So
Okay.
it will give you a shareable link, and you can share the link so people can start from where we stop.
That's a good idea. I'll do that afterwards as well. So this one will be this was the component, and it was card, capital C, right? Card.svelte. And then the one up here was it was app.svelte. Just put that into the comment. Perfect. I see Mikey's already left a comment in the issue, which is great. Cool. Thanks, Mikey. Okay. Wow. That is really, really great. Someone suggesting to show us use action. So people is suggesting, I've abbreviated your name again, people. To show use action.
Oh.
What's use action?
Okay, so action is when you want to say grab one of the elements and then manipulate it. So say, for example, if you have a library, say like a tooltip library,
Okay.
usually what it does is that like the libraries out there, what they do is that you pass in like an element, and then with that element, it will show a tooltip on top of it or something like that, right? Let's see what we can do. Yeah, any ideas that we can do over here? Let's see.
While you're looking that up, I'm just going to answer some of the questions in the chat. Someone, Tajer's asking how to download Swelt before I go. On their website, in the docs, it says you install it with npm, and then you can run it like this by the looks of it. And then you can do, I would follow their, I don't know what digit is. What's digit?
So I also not sure how to explain this, but basically we have a repository. So in GitHub, you have two types of repository. One is like a template repository where people can, where it's just like a template. So so digit is the one that clones the template repository, like split it out in a folder for you.
Okay, I'm going to share this link in the chat because it seems like it's. The documentation is really good, and I will have a play with this afterwards as well. But yeah, that looks good. Seems really straightforward to get that working. Good question. Right, sorry. Back to actions.
Back to actions. Let's actually let me.
If it's too complicated, to show now, we can write an issue with some information about that, with some links and so on. Because I am conscious of time. We were going to do an hour and a half, and we've only got a few minutes left. So it's entirely up to you. I think if it's too much to show now, we can leave that for another time.
Yeah, I think it's too hard for, like, I can't think of a really nice example for this website. But what we can do, if you think that we can still a little bit of time to go through with it, what we can do is, what I'm going to do here is to paste in the links in the chat. that will lead you to the tutorial. Probably that would be helpful for anyone who wants to learn about actions.
Actually, could you
I
let me see, rather than put it in the chat, could
Okay.
after the live stream, if you could put it in the issue, then for people can find
Yeah.
it, and it won't, people who will have missed the live stream or are catching up on it can also do it. So I will send you a link,
Okay.
and if you can do it there, that would be really, really good. And I will share the link. There's the link to the issue for you, and I will share the link on the live stream as well. There we go. So people can follow along about what's changed, what's happened. So that's awesome. Okay. This has been really good. I really appreciate you taking the time to take us all through this. I think people have really loved it. You see people are saying, staying up late, I can see from the chat to watch this, and they're looking forward to getting started as well. This has been great. Thank you very much. So everyone watching, don't forget to let me get your Twitter link as well so people can follow you again. Let me go back to this so they can see it as well. So I will share your Twitter link in the chat so people can follow you on Twitter and reach out and so on. And I've shared the GitHub issue where I've got the Swelt code and what we did today. So anything else you'd like to add? Any closing notes you'd like to add? But really, that was epic. Thank you so much for going through that.
Thanks for having me, Eddie. Closing note probably will be follow me on Twitter. I'll be posting any interesting things that about Svelte or front end related CSS, anything about it on Twitter. So do follow me. Thank you.
Yes, do follow. That would be awesome. And if you haven't already, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the bell button so you get notified. And look forward to seeing you in more videos and live streams. Right, I want to bring up the holding page. If you can hang on the line, I'll catch up with you briefly afterwards, and I'll stop the live stream. So I'll bring up the holding page, but if you've got a few moments, just hang on. Everyone, have a great day, evening, wherever you are in the world. And this was awesome. So big thumbs up to Swelt. Thank you very much.